Well, I was going to do something exciting. Let's make a spine finder! Welcome to the McGolf Shop. Jim McCleary, most awarded certified club maker, where we talk about club reviews, club repairs, club fittings, and if you would, like, subscribe, swing and hit that bell, and that way you get more of these videos when they drop. Now, first things first, McGolf is getting a facelift. Yeah, we are. It's been good 12, 14 years since we've been in the facility, and after some high winds and some very gnarly storms I've gone through, our siding took some significant damage, and we're having new siding put on. So that's where, if you hear some dink, 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 dink in the background, chances are it's them pounding on the walls. Let's see. Of course, about the time I stop, they don't do it. All right, so if you hear it in the background, that's what that noise is. Building a spine finder. Let's build it's a homemade one, right? This is the one that you see me use in the videos. This is the one I'm using to put where you put the shaft through it, right? You bend it down, it rotates around and finds the spine. Now, there will always be some sort of argument whether or not the hard side's going up or the hard side's going down. It would be my opinion that, particularly on steel shafts, because they're made from rolled steel and they get around and then they get micro welded along a seam. For somebody to say that there is no seam, well, that would be false, because that's how they're made. All right, and then they make these very long tubes, and then they get extruded through swedges, and they get these steps or stepless in order to get the shaft that the designer wants to make. Now, when you pull down on this thing and it spins around, I say that the hard side's at the top. Hard side's at the top. And then when you go to the next step of flowing, you use the club face and I twang in the 12 o'clock position. It has a lot to do with the way the rules were written. Can you go the other way? Yeah, but that's the way I like it. Okay, it's just the way I like it. And I think it makes a more consistent golf club when you do it that way, because when you swing, the shaft bends down. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Where would you find said spine finder? Well, the reason why it took me a bit is because I had to go out and find this stuff, right? And so if you don't want to have to do all the things that I just did, I have a Amazon McGolf Custom Clubs shop. There's a link below, and you can go there and click on it. In the golf tools section, you will see what it takes to make this. All right, it'll have this and then the bearings in it, and you follow these steps I'm going to show you right here, and you'll be able to make this very one. Okay, so that you go to the store, order the stuff, boom, you're there. And so that you get to make this. So what is this, right? What is this for real? Let's start off with this on the right foot. Now, however I make this, there's going to be 10 or 12 guys out there going, oh, well, I've made it this way and I've made it that way. Congratulations. I am glad that somebody stepped out and did it. Matter of fact, if you built it differently, put it down in notes. Send me an email so I can add to this, all right? May I do another one and say, hey, here's how guys made these other ones. Send me a picture, something, right, so that we can do this. Because there's always more than one way to build that better mousetrap, right? This just happens to, all right, this is just the easiest way to make this happen. So where do we get this? What is this? All right, this is a PVC compression coupling, all right, a compression coupling. Without getting too mechanical, what this is for pipes, right? Not necessarily PVC pipes, it could be metal pipes. And for you guys who've ever done any plumbing, when you get those compression fittings, or the ones that have like the little metal things that normally underneath your sink, right? What it does, it smashes down on this, and it expands this rubber on this one, or in the case of the swedge, it presses down on that little metal collar. When this goes and it screws down on there, and it makes a watertight seal. So what you do is you find your break in your pipe, and you get enough room to where you can slide this guy on. You slide this guy on first, put that on, all right, and then we'll turn it around. And then you slid that all the way on, and then you slide this guy on, press them together, and then you just start turning until you can't turn no more. And that should make a nice tight seal. 2-inch PVC scheduled 40 compression fitting. That's what you need for this. Now, can you make them smaller? Yes, you can. You just need to know what the size of the inside of here is going to be, right? That's the important part, and that's the reason why I use this one, because I figured that part out. So now what else do you need? You would need a bearing. No, not a widget or a Spin-It or whatever those little toys are. This is called an open face bearing, all right? An open face bearing. They are measured in 3 sections. They're measured in the distance from here to here, the outer dimension, right? They're also measured on the inner dimension, the inside of this hole, and then they're also the width. They're very common in about the 40, and they're measured in millimeters, right? The ones I kept finding were like 42 millimeters where my fingers are, and something smaller in here. Now, here's the reason why I picked this. The outside of this butt, you know, gets to be about 0.61 or 0.610. Is probably some of the biggest. 0.620 is probably some of there, and there might very well may be bigger ones. However, when you're talking about getting done and getting some speed, all right, it just goes in there quick. Boom. Even if you miss, it's going to get in there. It's going to get in there, and it rattles around, because you still have to give it a little bit of movement to bend, right? Not a bunch, but this works, all right? So you want to have enough to where you can actually get through there and not have to jam it, because you got to go through 2 spaces, and this provides me the right amount. All right, so what size do I need? Well, of course it's in the store, but it's 62 millimeters here on the outside, and it's 30 millimeters on the inside. And why is that important? Because it fits in here. So if we get it in here, right, and what you want to do is you slide it on there. Now you see how it's got a concavity on it, or a chamfer there and there. See, it looks kind of like a hockey puck, all right? All right. So what you get is, and we put that in, and you see how that's got an edge on it? So this edge fits right in there. See, I have to push it in. There you go. That's what it sits in, like that. Keeping it nice and level right there. There you go. See that? There you go. Don't have to tighten it down too hard. And then what you get is that. It sits in there just like that. I've already done the other side. Sits in there just like that. And then you have to get 3 of these bearings. You have to get 3 bearings, right? And this is the one I've got. It's from Schuster. Schuster ball bearings. Sorry, 62 by 25 by 17. I thought it was 30. 62 by 25 by 30. So how did we figure that out? All right, so if you go back to the days that you had to learn your metrics, 2.5 centimeters was an inch. And there are 10 millimeters to a centimeter, so it's 25 millimeters to get there. So if I wanted to get to the inside of a 2-inch thing, right, you would think, well, that's only 50 millimeters. That's true. But the inside's bigger, so it can compress down. So that's the reason why you got to check that kind of stuff out, right? So where would you find something like this if you didn't go on the internet? Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, they all got them, right? Let's go look for 2-inch couplings. So right now, so we got a bearing on both sides, right? And then we got this guy right here, and that's how it sets. All right, I'm going to shift you now. All right, you see I've got it in my, vise. This is a 4-inch vise, and just barely tightened down. It's got plenty of room. There's a couple threads here and 1 thread here for it to fit. Now, as the years go on, you're going to have to tighten that up, which I've had to do. This has been with me for well over 10 years. And you see how it's gotten smaller. And that's just after compressing these just ever so slightly. So that's what you want to make sure you got that. And then what you do is this guy stands out here. You pull down on the shaft, and away you go. Now, so we've got it in the vise, and this is one of going to be a dozen ways to hold this. Now, again, if you would, leave it in the show notes. There are other ways to hold this. I've had ideas of wrapping some hose clamps all the way around it and having some sort of piece, maybe a piece of wood or even another piece of metal, and you just clamp down on that and just let the vise hold that. That way you're not really destroying the body, right? And you hold it down there. I just haven't had the time to think about what I could use or whatever. But if some of you guys are listening and you got an idea, put it in there and we'll add it to the setup and we'll put it in there that way. Spine finder, right? We got the spine finder, so we made it. It actually works pretty good. I've used it on one or two, right? All right. And it's funny that the bearings, I'm kind of glad you guys asked me about this, because the bearings in this are so much more smoother than the ones that are, well, 14 years old. All right, 14 years old. So this thing's working out pretty good. I'm kind of liking this quite a bit. And you can hear that. All right, I couldn't do that on my other one. So I think it's going to be a little more delicate, right? A little more precise. So again, if you wanted to, could you use something smaller, clamp it in there a little bit smaller and use smaller bearings? No doubt. As long as the shaft can get through here, why not? I made one years and years and years and years ago that was hard piped, right? I just went out and bought a piece of PVC, found the bearings that fit inside and put caps on it, and that was Bob's your uncle. However, this is 10 times more convenient. There's no work to it. You unwrap the package for the bearing, slap it in here, and you're on your way. This is a great design. Thanks for whoever gave this to me 14 years ago. All right. So again, if you're looking just for the pieces parts, look down in the show notes. I'll have links to where you can get them out of the store. The other part is that you can go to Lowe's and get this piece all you want. The bearings, however, you're on your own. That was actually off of Amazon. I had to go look that up, and those are certainly on the store. So again, hopefully you like it below, and let's see your scores go low.